Ladies and gentlemen, today I want to tell you a story that begins in silence, in doubt, and in the quiet spaces where dreams are often dismissed before they are even spoken. It is the story of a girl who stood at the edge of her potential while the world shook its head and said, "She can't." How many lives have been limited by those two words? How many brilliant futures have been paused because belief was missing, not in talent, not in effort, but in people? This story matters because it is not only about one girl. It is about every voice that was ignored, every dream that was laughed at, and every woman who learned to rise even when no one believed in her. She did not grow up surrounded by applause or encouragement. She grew up surrounded by doubt. People questioned her ability, her choices, and even her right to dream boldly. When she spoke about her goals, she was met with polite smiles or harsh laughter. When she failed, as all learners do, her failures were used as proof that she should stop trying. Yet here is the first hook of her journey. She listened carefully, not to the voices that doubted her, but to the quiet voice inside that said, "Try again." Belief did not arrive from the outside. It was built, slowly and painfully, from within. There were days when giving up felt easier than standing tall. Days when rejection felt personal and loneliness felt heavy. But instead of allowing doubt to define her, she allowed it to refine her. Every no became fuel. Every closed door became a lesson. She learned that strength is not loud and confidence is not always visible. Sometimes, courage looks like waking up and continuing when no one is watching. Sometimes, bravery is choosing discipline over comfort, growth over approval, and purpose over fear. What truly sets her apart is not that she never struggled, but that she refused to stay down. When she stumbled, she studied her fall. When she failed, she learned new ways to succeed. She invested in herself when no one else would. She read, practiced, trained, and prepared, often in isolation. And here is another powerful truth her story teaches us. Success is rarely instant, and belief often arrives after results, not before them. She did not wait for validation to begin. She began so that validation would one day follow. Over time, something remarkable happened. The same people who once doubted her started noticing her consistency. The same voices that questioned her strength began to grow quiet. Not because she argued with them, but because her progress spoke louder than explanations ever could. She proved that you do not need permission to rise. You need persistence. You need resilience. You need the courage to keep showing up when the room is empty and the applause is absent. Her journey reminds us that belief is powerful, but self-belief is transformational. When no one believed in her, she became her own supporter, her own coach, her own source of motivation. And in doing so, she did more than change her own life. She became a symbol for others, a reminder that your starting point does not determine your destination, and that the absence of support does not mean the absence of potential. When we think of courage, we often imagine grand gestures or heroic acts, but the kind of bravery that truly shapes a life often begins quietly, deep within. She grew up in a world where belief in her abilities was scarce. People around her questioned her choices, doubted her potential, and often dismissed her dreams as unrealistic. At every turn, the voices of skepticism were louder than any encouragement. Many would have let those voices dictate their path, allowing doubt to extinguish ambition before it even had a chance to grow. But she chose differently. She understood something crucial early on. If no one believes in you, you must become your own champion. The first sparks of her journey were not fueled by external applause, but by an inner voice that refused to be silenced. This is where her real strength began, self-belief built from the ground up, forged in the fires of isolation and quiet determination. She spent countless hours honing her skills, learning, practicing, and perfecting herself without the safety net of support or validation. Every step forward was a testament to her commitment to trust herself, even when the world seemed to be betting against her. The beauty of her story lies in the simplicity of her approach. She did not wait for anyone to tell her she could. She told herself she must. That decision, seemingly small at first, became monumental. It transformed doubt into fuel, fear into motivation, and loneliness into focus. Her journey teaches us that belief is not something that can always be handed to you, it is something that must be cultivated from within. When she faced moments of uncertainty, she reminded herself that the only approval she truly needed was her own. She set goals, created routines, and held herself accountable, all while resisting the temptation to seek constant validation. Every small victory, no matter how unnoticed by others, became proof that her trust in herself was not misplaced. Her self-belief became a powerful force that carried her through obstacles that would have defeated anyone else. It was this unshakable faith in her own abilities that allowed her to rise, proving that the foundation of true success is built not on external recognition, but on the unwavering conviction that you are capable, worthy, and determined to succeed no matter who doubts you. Rejection can feel like a door slamming shut, a declaration that your dreams are too big, your efforts insufficient, or your place undeserved. For most people, repeated rejection erodes confidence, dims ambition, and tempts them to give up. But for her, rejection became a catalyst, a teacher, and a fuel that powered her rise. From an early age, she encountered barriers that others seemed to pass with ease. Opportunities were denied, ideas were dismissed, and her efforts were often met with skepticism. Each no could have been a stopping point, a reason to retreat into safety and abandon her ambitions. Instead, she learned to listen differently. She listened not to the discouragement behind the words, but to the lessons embedded within them. Every rejection was examined, every criticism analyzed, and every setback dissected for the insight it contained. She realized that rejection was never a reflection of her worth or her potential. It was a reflection of timing, circumstances, and perspective. This realization became a turning point, teaching her that persistence and adaptation are far more powerful than immediate acceptance or praise. With each denied opportunity, she became more resilient, more strategic, and more determined. She refused to internalize the doubts of others, understanding that the opinions of those unwilling to believe in her were not the final verdict on her life. Instead of shrinking from rejection, she embraced it, using it as a mirror to understand where she could improve and how she could grow stronger. She began to anticipate setbacks as part of the journey rather than signs of failure, reframing every disappointment as a stepping stone. Her ability to transform rejection into strength did not happen overnight. It required patience, reflection, and an unshakable commitment to her goals. The power of her story lies in this transformation. The very obstacles that were meant to stop her became the instruments that shaped her resilience. She proved that when you refuse to let rejection define you, it becomes a teacher, a motivator, and a tool for growth. Each refusal, each closed door, and each critical voice became proof that she was learning, evolving, and preparing for a level of success that others could not yet imagine. Her journey teaches that the mark of bravery is not avoiding rejection, but facing it head-on, learning from it, and using it to rise higher than ever before. Her journey was never meant to be only her own. It became a beacon, a living example for every woman who had been told she was too small, too quiet, or too incapable to make a difference. By rising despite doubt, obstacles, and repeated challenges, she transformed her personal triumph into a symbol of possibility for others. People began to notice not just her achievements, but the way she carried herself through adversity, with grace, determination, and unwavering courage. Her story became proof that obstacles are not walls, but stepping stones, and that the absence of support does not determine the limits of what one can achieve. Women who had once doubted themselves saw in her reflection the potential to rise above their own circumstances, and her courage inspired them to take their first steps toward their dreams. She demonstrated that influence is not always about status or power, but about the impact of persistence, resilience, and authenticity. By refusing to let fear, judgment, or rejection define her path, she sent a message far beyond her own experience. It is possible to carve out success even when the world is silent, skeptical, or dismissive. Her life became a template for transformation, showing that courage is contagious and that one individual's determination can ignite hope in countless others. Every achievement she earned, every barrier she overcame, served as a lesson in what can happen when a woman refuses to accept limitations imposed by others. Her rise was not just about personal ambition, it was about breaking invisible chains, challenging societal expectations, and proving that women can thrive even in the absence of recognition or encouragement. As more people witnessed her journey, she became a mentor in the truest sense, demonstrating through action rather than words that obstacles can be overcome and that self-belief, persistence, and courage are powerful forces for change. She showed that when one woman rises, she lifts others along the way, creating ripples of inspiration that extend far beyond her immediate circle. Her story is a reminder that the power to inspire does not come from perfection, wealth, or fame, but from the courage to keep moving forward, to keep believing, and to keep demonstrating through action that even when no one believes in you, you can rise. And in doing so, become a guiding light for everyone who has ever been told they cannot. So, as we reflect on this story, let us ask ourselves an important question. What could we achieve if we stopped waiting for approval and started trusting our inner strength? This girl rose not because the path was easy, but because she chose not to surrender. Her story challenges us to believe before we are believed in, to rise before we are recognized, and to keep going even when the world is silent. May her journey inspire every woman listening today to stand taller, dream louder, and rise, especially when no one believes she can.